AFR On Demand is brought to you by Breck Golf. Try Beaver Creek today, just 20 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge in the Zachary area. They've got a PGA Tour driving range, a short game practice area, 30 to 40-yard practice shots. It's a great place to chip and putt and practice if you don't have time for a full round. Book your tee time today, golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org.
Hour number 2 off and running after further review. Here on a Tuesday. Busso in for Moscone, represented by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Luke Foster, Paul O'Neill, they're along for the ride. Glad you're along for the ride here as well. Carry you through this early July week. 1 hour in the books, a couple more to get to, and still a bunch to talk about. We still got to get to Big 12 Media Days. Brett Yormark opened those up. Talked about the future of the Big 12 championship game. Pretty interesting. And oh, by the way, Texas Tech and Joey McGuire took their turn today. You know that had to be interesting with all the Brendan Sorsby hoopla that went on the last couple of months. So we'll let you hear a little bit of that, tackle kind of those two topics as well. Day 1 of 2 over there for Big 12 Media Days. Got some college football playoff projections to get to as well. LSU got Jaden Anding into the class of 2027. We talked to Shea Dixon about that. Jason Ratcliffe's going to join us here in about 13 minutes or so as well. Talk a little bit more in depth on LSU baseball transfer portal. So plenty to get to, and fired up to have all of you along for the ride as we do it. I want to start this hour, though, with some talk with the New Orleans Saints. We've kind of been going through different position groups here with the Saints over the last couple of shows. Looking at that, I mean, we've looked at special teams. Obviously, we've talked about receiver and obviously Tyler Shuck, defensive side. Can they win the division? All of those things. In just about every one of those conversations, we've mentioned in passing the offensive line. We haven't really dove head on in to the offensive line, though. And if you're going to do that, there's plenty of things you could discuss. The addition of David Edwards. That's going to be pretty big for the New Orleans Saints, obviously, this year, right? I mean, everyone has raved about David Edwards. Whether it was whether it's anyone on the line with him, Cesar Ruiz, Kelvin Banks, whether it's been Tyler Shuck, whether it's been Kellen Moore. Blank there on the head coach's name. Apologies. Whether it's been Kellen Moore. Everyone's ready. You could talk about that. Kelvin Banks going into year 2. You can talk about that. Cesar Ruiz. Man, what do you do there? Anyone challenge him? Jeremiah Wright. There's a lot of angles. But if you're going to talk the Saints offensive line, that has to start with Erik McCoy, who is back healthy and is looking to play a full season in the NFL for the first time since 2023. That is the last time Erik McCoy has played a full season, 2023. It was also the first time he made a Pro Bowl. In the last 2 seasons, McCoy has played 14 games combined. He has missed more games than he has played. 14 games combined. Another way to say that is, in the last 2 seasons combined, Erik McCoy has not played one full NFL season. He sat down with Luke Johnson over at the Advocate, Times Pick, NOLA.com, all those things, and talked about those injuries and what it's been like going through those injuries. And it was quite interesting, the way McCoy went about that. Quote, "It's hard as an athlete, but it's the name of the game. Last year, the play where I tore my bicep was something I've done a million times, and I saw people do it a million times after that. It just happened to be that impact angle, and, it ended my season." McCoy was on IR twice in 2024. And then, of course, obviously the bicep injury we just talked about put him on season-ending IR a year ago. That's how you get the 14 games that he's played over the last 2 years. He doesn't really want to... He's not casting blame for these injuries. Quote, "It was tough, but I'm going to keep doing what I what I can to mitigate those risks, and hopefully I'll be lucky. Hopefully all of us will be lucky. But I want to be lucky too. Probably the most poignant quote he gave was, "It's the luck of the draw." He's talking about the injuries. It's the luck of the draw. Quote, "I stick to that. Healthy, unhealthy. Yes, there are certain things you can do to prepare, but at the end of the day, it's football. Expletive happens, and it's just the luck of the draw." He also mentioned that he's not going to change the way that he plays. Like, he's not going to play timid. He said if you do that, he should just quit football. You need Erik McCoy to be healthy. I'm just going to state the obvious there. It's good that he is. Hopefully, to use his words, he's lucky, and he stays healthy for this 2026 season. Because your center's kind of always your linchpin, but especially now, when you have the changes that you've had on the O-line, where you still have a young left tackle out there, where you're bringing in David Edwards, someone that Erik McCoy's never played with. He's got to get a lot of reps in to the left side with David Edwards. He's got plenty with Cesar Ruiz, right? I mean, they've played together for years up to this point. You bring in a guy like David Edwards, who's a veteran and can obviously play with a lot of different guys by him. Wouldn't it be nice for his first year in here, learning a new system, all of those things, to have his center right there next to him all season? That doesn't even begin to describe the relationship you need him to have with Tyler Shuck. Remember, they didn't get to play together last year. McCoy was already on season-ending IR. And Tyler Shuck, when he met with the media during mandatory minicamp, I believe this was, talked about having Erik McCoy back healthy and what that's meant to him.
I mean, I think he just adds that extra veteran element where he's seen a lot of football. He's been great for me because him and I, even though we didn't get to play together, we were around each other every single day, going to O-line dinners. And, I mean, we had our son born within 24 hours of each other. So we were at the hospital together, and, I love him. So he's been great for me, just to be able to learn and talk with him. For the whole O-line group, I think it's kind of just that solidified position.
Linchpin, solidify the position. The last time Erik McCoy played a full season was 2023. He graded out Pro Football Focus as the 6th best center in the entirety of the NFL in 2023. Again, it led to his first Pro Bowl. It was great. And you saw the Saints offense finish in the top half of the league in 2023. That was an offense that did not look a whole lot different in 2023 than it did to start last season. Now, Derek Carr was your quarterback, so obviously, I mean, that's obviously a difference there. You had Derek Carr, not Spencer Rattler, Tyler Shuck. But I mean, Chris Olave was your leading receiver. Rashid Shaheed was your second. Alvin Kamara was there. Like, all those guys were on the Saints team at the start of the season a year ago. So the offense, pretty comparable. I think if I asked any Saints fan out there, hey, you had that comparable offense in 23 right here in 2025, except Derek Carr wasn't your quarterback. Spencer Rattler, Tyler Shuck was. How do you feel about that? I think many people would say, I'll take Spencer Rattler and Tyler Shuck. Derek Carr, not the most popular guy among Saints fans. You had McCoy that entire season. You had your center. You had that camaraderie. You had that solidified unit up front. Your quarterback center exchange, your O-line, you finished 14th in total offense, top half of the league. I'm not telling you that is like directly because Erik McCoy was healthy, but it certainly didn't hurt having your center there. And if you can get 17 games out of Erik McCoy here in 2026, when you're looking to improve the run game, bring in, a veteran in David Edwards, learning this system, Kellen Moore, Tyler Shuck's first full year as a starting quarterback in the NFL, for them to reach their potential, sure feels like you're really going to need Erik McCoy to be out there for all of it. So for him to be healthy, ready to go, like, you're better. You are better. That's really why I go to that 2023 example. The New Orleans, it might not be direct correlation, but the New Orleans Saints are better when Erik McCoy is on the field. They are a better offense. Period. So, again, to use his words, hopefully he'll get lucky. You know, the work ethic's there. He's going to prepare. He's going to take the precautions to mitigate injury and risk. But outside of a couple soft tissue injuries earlier in his career, he was relatively healthy. It's just been the last couple years where you've had the groin, the bicep, all those things kind of pile up on him, and you've had him for 14 games. When he's healthy, when he's right, he's one of the best centers in the NFL, and in turn, you're one of the better offenses in the NFL. And if you can get this Saints offense to the top half of the league in 2026 to go along with what hopefully is a much steadier season defensively against a fourth-place schedule, I think you're going to like how the season ends for the New Orleans Saints, because it should end in the postseason if that happens to be the case. Erik McCoy, healthy, looking forward to training camp. Hopefully you get full season out of him, and that offense can just flourish like we've seen it do in the past. All right, we got to grab a break. We're going to come back on the other side and talk with Jason Ratcliffe of 64 Analytics. Get a little more in-depth look at this LSU baseball transfer portal class. Almost forgot. But first, Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry.
Quick reminder about Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, lmfj.com. lmfj.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. They're the best. If you are, gentlemen, thinking about popping the question and you're thinking about where am I going to go buy that diamond, I want you to consider this. There are places that will sell you man-made lab diamonds, but what are you buying? It's according to its makeup and characteristics, sure, diamond. But is it going to hold its value? Like, is that the way you want to say, I love you, I want to spend the rest of my life with you? Go to Lee Michaels. Go to Lee Michaels. Walk in the door. Experience the thing I talk about all the time, which is the Lee Michaels experience. It's Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry with 10 locations. Baton Rouge, 2 locations in Baton Rouge. New Orleans, Lafayette, Shreveport, Mississippi, Texas as well. 10 locations across 3 states. It's Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Thrill her, gentlemen. Thrill her with a gift in the red box from Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry.
All right, now we'll grab a break. We'll come back on the other side. Jason Ratcliffe from 64 Analytics will join the show. We'll get his thoughts a little bit deeper on kind of the back half of this LSU portal class, their latest run on commitments for Jay Johnson and the squad. That's next here on AFR.
AFR.
We're running about First South Farm Credit, firstsouthland.com, firstsouthland.com. Thinking of buying land, your first call should be to First South Farm Credit, firstsouthfarmcredit.com, firstsouthfarmcredit.com. Hey, remember, always encourage you to go to the website, firstsouthfarmcredit.com. If you're a farmer, no doubt you know about First South Farm Credit because they've been helping farmers buy agriculture land for more than 100 years. But if it's maybe it's that hunting property. Maybe it's just your recreational property in Mississippi. Maybe you want to go buy a ranch in Montana. They can help you buy land anywhere in the lower 48. Buying land is different than buying a home. You know that. So trust the people who have helped Louisianans buy land for more than 100 years. First South Farm Credit. Go to firstsouthfarmcredit.com, firstsouthfarmcredit.com. One more time, firstsouthfarmcredit.com. Your first call should be to First. Need a steel building? Proform Steel. I want you to remember the name. Why use Proform Steel? Well, I got tons of reasons. Here's a few. How about the lead times? 6 to 8 weeks from signed contract out the door. They'll get it to you quicker. Free delivery on every building. You buy it from them, they'll deliver it for free. It's Proform Steel. You can even order online. You can pick the style, size, color, doors, submit the form, get a call back the same day. And at Proform Steel, they use American-made materials on everything. No exceptions. It's Proform Steel. Maybe you need a shed in your backyard. Maybe we're talking about a big industrial facility. Need a steel building? You want Proform Steel. Make sure you call Brandon Golson, you know the name, at Proform Steel. Check them out, Proform Steel.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
We continue here on After Further Review, presented by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Musso in for Moscona. LSU baseball, they continue to roll here in the transfer portal. Talked about it on yesterday's show. Over the 4th of July weekend, they picked up a commitment from Angel Laya, outfielder from Oregon. Kind of beat out, I don't know, everybody in college baseball for him. So figured it was a good time to bring Jason Ratcliffe back on from 64 Analytics to join the show, talk a little bit more about the latest run of portal additions here for LSU. Jason, we're glad to have you back on the show, man. How are you?
Doing well. How are you all doing? It's pretty stormy here in Houston. I'm probably about to have some thunderstorms coming through, so enjoying kind of another wet day here in Houston.
Yeah, it's just, it's every day here in the South when it comes to July. It was stormy. I'm going to tell you, Jason, when we're in this studio right here, if we hear the weather outside, it's bad. And midway through the first hour, there was a giant clap of thunder, and I was just like, okay, must be raining pretty good out there here in Baton Rouge as well. Well, just kind of transition from that. Jay Johnson keeps rolling them in. Portal closed on June 30th. That hasn't stopped Jay and the Tigers. Before we get into kind of the three more they've added since the last time you were on the show, just kind of an overall thought from you and the guys at 64 Analytics on this total haul from LSU so far.
I mean, to put it quite simply, we have them as the number one class in the country, and they have it with 8 players. So you'll see a lot of classes that'll be 10 to 15. I mean, you've got some like South Carolina, I think it's like 23 right now. We try to value kind of a sliding scale to where it really puts value on the top couple of players, and then it adds even more. It adds some more value for 3 through 6, and then some value for 7 and 8, and then beyond that, it's just kind of a wash. And the reason for that is it's not that there isn't value in kind of like 9 through 15. Like Georgia had quite a bit of value in that last year. It's more of just how do you construct a roster and how many players do you anticipate to play. So in that like 14 to 16 of you're anticipating to playing, it's like, well, if you have a team that's even just half of that, so on the portal, that's really kind of where you want to provide value. So they've gone out and they've gotten really great quality, even within their quantity that they've had. So it's pretty impressive what they've done. It feels like they've rounded out their lineup. I'm not sure if they're done. Maybe a left-handed pitcher, we'll see. But it's looking pretty great.
You mentioned quality over quantity in a sense there. And I'm curious, as someone like you who obviously covers this each offseason with the portal and over there at 64 Analytics, your thought just on the very obvious change in approach for Jay Johnson and his staff from last year's portal cycle to this year's portal cycle.
Well, I think it really just depends upon the needs. And sometimes like your needs are pretty heavy, and sometimes they're a little bit lighter. I think their needs were a little bit lighter last year. I think they kind of pushed pretty aggressively on the corner infield spot, that third base, that first base, and they were trying to maybe fit some round pegs in some square holes with trying to, maybe like throw a dar at second base or right field. Like they were just trying to find a spot for him. I think this time they looked at their holes and they just basically attacked them pretty aggressively. But I mean, even if you go back 2 years, I think they had 13 some odd portal commits when we had them as the number one portal class then, and they brought in an absurd amount of pitcher, like Cowan and Sheeran were a part of that group. So I mean, and Meyer. So I mean, they had brought in a lot of arms from that group. That was the Janssen group as well. So I mean, he's shown that he'll definitely do it through the portal. He just didn't do it as strongly last year, but this year it's even though it's still only 8 players, it's pretty high number. It's a really high quality number of 8 players.
So let's get into some of those guys. They've added a few more since we had you on last. That was during the College World Series, the last time we had you on the show. I mean, we have to start with Angel Laya. I mean, that feels like a very significant get. It's a guy with multiple years of eligibility, freshman All-America. I mean, when you look at Bino Waters really at the head of this class for LSU, to add a guy like Angel Laya takes it just kind of to the next level.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think one of the very first things you said pretty much nailed Laya's value is he's going to be there for multiple years. So a lot of times in this portal era, it's not as if you're kind of just shooting for a singular season, but this really helps with roster management because you can kind of go into next year saying, okay, well, now we have an outfield spot secured effectively for 2 years. Now you're going to have to recruit him again because, as you've seen, like these guys could go in the portal once more. But I'd be very surprised with that with Laya. So, I mean, as you said, you're bringing in a freshman All American, you're bringing in effectively someone that, every top school that was still looking for an outfielder was swinging for Elias. So it was a massive get for LSU. And frankly, it seems like it's solidified their lineup.
Do you think he sticks in the corner outfield, or is that a guy who you could see that y'all could project maybe in center?
So I think that's going to be the big question mark for LSU. I think if you're going to have three big position battles, I think it's going to be at shortstop. Who's it going to be? It's going to be
Huh?
Parks or Milam. I think it's going to be really hard to beat out Milam. Then you're going to have catcher. Is it going to be Aaron Bede? Is it going to be Cerna? And then center field. Honestly, I don't know. My assumption is maybe they start with walks.
Mhm.
Maybe they said, "Hey, Laya, like come in here. We'll get you to play center field." But you basically have two right fielders and Walks and Laya, and then a left fielder and Waters. So none of them are traditional center fielders. So you're in effect kind of trying to create a center fielder. Now you can do that. Like Laya has the athleticism, Walks has the athleticism, but that's not kind of their focal point at their previous schools. So I do think that's for me, that's the biggest question mark for LSU is who's going to be playing center field. I think shortstop and catcher, it's going to be the better of two evils. And even still, center field, you could still say the same thing. But from a defensive standpoint, I think it's going to be who can play it the best, not which best player can play it the best, if that makes sense.
For sure, 100%, man. It's the old adage, your best nine, not necessarily your nine best type deal there in baseball. They also added Diego Velasquez out of USC, pitcher. Who the Trojans had an awesome pitching staff, obviously this season. What'd you make of that pickup there for LSU?
Yeah. So you kind of look at LSU from a pitching standpoint last year and you say, where was their weakness? And for all of the frustrations with the offense, a lot of times it kind of came down to the pitching staff and just kind of letting guys get on base. A lot of whips in that like 1-5 region. And I think what you're going to like from Diego Velasquez is a whip that's around one. So you're going to get a guy that's got like a 3.4 K to walk ratio. I mean, he didn't pitch a ton for USC, only I think like 30 some odd innings, but you're going to get a guy who throws it over the plate, throws it over the zone. So, I mean, in essence, kind of like a Cowan-esque type of individual who's going to get you outs, who's going to, be a stalwart for you. Like when LSU was making that run back in 2025, Cowan was a really big part of that.
Oh, it's huge part of it. Man,
Yep.
who can forget the start in Omaha against Arkansas there, man, when they really had to have
Yep.
it. Another one that's interesting that they added on the mound, Caden Smith. Really at
Mhm.
the start of July. You were just mentioning the whips and things of that nature on the last staff, obviously here in 2026. And it's interesting when you look at Smith, the arm obviously stands out, but the free pass number is a little high. And it's one of the first things that a bunch of LSU fans here pointed to. What type of role do you think the former South Florida pitcher fits into at LSU here in 2027?
So I think ultimately they're looking for a bridge, maybe even an individual that could try to get to that closer role. I assume you're going to get Sheeran back. If you get Sheeran
Nope.
back, maybe nope, you don't think he's going to be coming back?
Uh, Not
Redshirt
necessarily.
sophomore?
Yeah,
Not necessarily.
not necessarily. It seems like he's
Yeah.
pretty set on potentially signing a pro contract here come this weekend. But I mean, we'll see. It's the draft, man. You never know. It's interesting.
Yeah.
They'd welcome
I
him
mean,
back. I
it,
know that.
yeah. Then maybe like is Hood your closer? Because I think you're maybe saying like Hood couldn't because again Hood only threw 50 innings.
Yeah.
Smith only threw close to 50 innings. So I think you're trying to figure out who is because there's 4 to 5 really important pitching positions. There's obviously going to be your Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but then there's going to be your bridge guy on your Friday or Saturday, and there's going to be your closer. So I think that they're looking to ultimately try to find that bridge to close, and I think it's going to be who is going to be taking that role. Now, the interesting thing is you look at all of them; they're all righties. There really
Yeah.
isn't a lefty amongst the group. You can maybe go like Lockenmeyer. He was guy from North Dakota State, I think last year, but I think he only threw like 15 innings for y'all with like an 8 ERA with like a 1.6 whip. So, I mean, like there's Cooper Williams that could maybe, but again, he's almost identical numbers. So I think they're trying to find someone that kind of fits that. Can we trust you in that 5 through 7 innings where you're trying to bridge to get to the end? And then ultimately, who's your best bridge is probably going to be your closer. So if I were to say, like, where would he be? I don't see him taking one of the Friday Saturdays. I mean, he's gonna be given the opportunity, but I would say he's probably going to be one of those bridge to closer guys.
They've certainly gone out there, as you mentioned earlier, man, and they attacked their needs head on, see if they can add a left-handed pitcher into the staff. Jason Ratcliffe, 64 Analytics. You can get him on Twitter X at JasonR_64A. Of course, you can follow 64 Analytics at 64 Analytics. They do great work all season long throughout college baseball, but especially come portal and draft time. Jason, we appreciate the time as always, man. Look forward to doing it again soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, there he is, Jason Ratcliffe. This is after further review here on a Tuesday, presented by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Musso in for Moscona. We're going to grab a break here, but first, AFR is brought to you by Glow Resources, which you can follow 64 Analytics at 64 Analytics. Wait a minute.
Resources. Now, I want to remind you, Glow Resources, they're exceptional when it comes to skilled blue-collar workers and also white-collar divisions. Remember, Glow Resources has a full professional placement division. So we're talking about office administrators, executive-level assistants, assistant controllers, plant managers, scheduling assistants, basically any type of office job. Accounting, HR, marketing, managerial, supervisor roles. If you're having trouble finding those people and sometimes hard-to-fill roles, Glow Resources specialize. They recruit nationwide. For example, they had a Baton Rouge company that was looking for an engineer. They found the employee in Florida to work the job in California. It's Glow Resources. Check them out online today. glowresources.com.
Pardon me. All right, after further review, here on a Tuesday continues on. Musso in for Moscona. We're going to grab a break, come back on the other side. Thanks to Jason Ratcliffe there for hopping on with us, giving us a little bit of a national perspective on the LSU transfer portal class that they continue to build. We'll see if they can get a left-handed pitcher in the boat here sooner rather than later. We'll grab our break. We'll come back on the other side. Big 12 Media Days kicked off today. Brett Yormark opened it up with his State of the Conference address. Thing that was really interesting to me there. Thoughts on the college football playoff as well as the future of the Big 12 championship game. And Joey McGuire and Texas Tech took their turn. Gee, wonder what they were asked. We'll talk about that next here on AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by Parish Construction Roofing, parishbuilt.com, parishbuilt.com. Tell you every day, do business with someone you know. That's me and Terrio and Richard Tilley and Joe Morales and Trent Davis and our whole staff. We appreciate everyone so much who's giving us the opportunity. Our commercial roofing manager, Matt Pearson, sent us all a text that we were just awarded a large commercial roofing job today, and they heard us talking about it. And yes, of course, at your home, any roof repair, replacement, we love to help you out. We can install gutters for you. We do soft wash, do all of it. But I want to remind you that we are a commercial roofing company as well. So if your commercial building needs a new roof or repair, you're having any issues whatsoever, we have the best guy. We went and scoured the world and found Matt Pearson in Florida, and we brought him to Baton Rouge. I'm convinced there's not a soul alive that knows more about commercial roofing than Matt Pearson. So if your commercial building is having any roof issues, roof repair, replacement, or you just need options, or you don't pay a dime, 752-0001, where they're always on time, or you don't pay a dime. I love sharing 5-star Google reviews. Here's one from Ricky Gomez, who said Chris, his technician, was very professional and knowledgeable during the HVAC evaluation. He provided details and recommendations in a clear and concise manner. That's one of the things that always stands out. If you're having an issue with your AC or your heater, and River City's 1 Hour Air sends out a technician for an evaluation, they're going to explain your options to you. And that may sound simple, but none of it, I don't know anything about an HVAC, neither do you. Let's be honest. So whenever they go get up in your attic or they go look at your HVAC unit on the side of your house and they come talk to you, they're going to explain very clearly what's happening and your options to remedy it. It's River City's 1 Hour Air. Look for the big yellow vans and trucks with the giant clock on the side. 752-0001.
Big 12 Media Days. Those got underway here on Tuesday, and one full day today. They'll have another full day tomorrow, and then they wrap it up. Just 2 days there of Big 12 Media Days, unlike the SEC, which takes an entire week. For what it's worth, the Big 10 also perhaps theirs up pretty quickly. But anyway, hey, it's 4 days of content for us, and man, we're inside of 2 weeks now until SEC football media days. But anyway, let me not get sidetracked. Big 12 media days, those kicked off today, and as is the custom at these events, the commissioner of the league gets up there, gives the state of the conference address, and talks about all the issues in college football and things of that nature and college athletics in general that you have to go through. And Brett Yormark for the Big 12 did that today. Just a couple of things before we get into the real meat and potatoes. The Big 12 is now going to be sponsored by Monster Energy. Yeah, that's right. It's Monster Energy Big 12 football, which nobody is going to call it, nor should you, because that sounds ridiculous. But that was a thing that happened in real life today. Also, he was asked, the first question was about Brendan Sorsby, as you might imagine, and as it should have been. The media would not have been near doing their job if that wasn't the first question to Brett Yormark, and he shut that down immediately. Said that it's not the time or the place to address that, which, Brett, this is absolutely the time and the place to address that. It is literally the conference's media days. Brendan Sorsby and your conference, which you're the commissioner of, suing Brendan Sorsby is absolutely something that was a massive story in college football and in your conference, and that should be addressed at conference media days. So you're wrong, Brett. That absolutely would have been the time, the forum, the place to discuss that. I understand you want to keep the focus on your league in the upcoming season, but that was a major storyline when it pertained to the upcoming season. And he had a chance to go on record there, and he didn't at all throughout his remarks. He was asked a couple different questions and shut them all down. So I guess the Big 12 is content to stand by their statement. That's a little disappointing that Brett Yormark didn't address that because, again, it is absolutely the right time and place and forum to do so. But anyway, he didn't. So we move on. One thing he did address was the college football playoff and the future of the Big 12 championship game. I want to take those into two different separate topics. Yormark did once again reiterate the Big 12 stance is with 24 when it comes to the CFP playoff, the college football playoff.
The thing for me that through all of this, my president and my AD, who are good friends of mine, who believed in me, who hired me, they went through a lot. Like, if you look as a whole...
I'm sorry, that was actually Joey McGuire. We'll get to that. Brett Yormark here on the playoff. Do you have it? If not, I can read the quote. I just need to know if you have it. Okay. So Brett Yormark on the college football playoff at Big 12 Media Days today, quote, "I liked 16 initially. As I learned more about it, obviously without the additional AQs, when 24 became part of the conversation, we've done our own conference due diligence around it, and we think it might be a great fit for us. We discussed it most recently in our spring business meeting and with our coaches across the board. They liked it, and we continue to have those conversations with our ADs and our presidents." That's not a surprise. He's consistently said they want more access. The Big 12 wants an avenue to have more access to the college football playoff. Right now, they're pretty much hard capped at one team because their league isn't super strong. Now, Brett Yormark's done a great job keeping that league together. I mean, everyone thought that the Pac-12 would kind of swallow them up, and actually it was the Big 12 that in part swallowed up the Pac-12 with the Big 10. So he's done a great job, and he's found great new revenue streams, whether it be private equity. We joked about the Monster Energy thing earlier, but I mean, that deals with over $20 million. That's another great revenue stream for them. So he's done really well in that. But still, the Big 12 is getting one team in this deal at 12. So yeah, he's going to be in favor of 24 to get as much access as he can. And that's without the additional AQs. He wants as much access as he can. So that makes sense. that's not really news or a surprise. The other interesting part of that, though, was he was asked about the conference championship game, and he said, quote, "We do need to understand the economics. Is there a marketplace to go to 24? We have to understand the scheduling dynamic and what that means and the unintended consequences," which I said earlier, as it relates to our championship game, I think I've said it before, that's a huge tentpole event for us. We had over 85,000 attend last year, and our ratings were up 39%. It's a big deal for us, and there are economics that go with that, the championship game. So as we consider 24, we've got to look at what we have and what potentially we might gain and ultimately make the best decision for the Big 12, But everything's on the table. It's that part at the very end. Everything's on the table. We want to understand the economics of it. But sure, we don't need a championship game if we don't like. If you can provide us a way to reach our revenue or even bolster it, we don't need a stupid championship game anymore. We'll gladly start the playoff earlier and just get rid of championship week. That's what he said there. Everything's on the table. That's a very different tone than you've heard from Greg Sankey in the SEC office, where, he's asked about this and he goes, well, we have contracts. There's contracts with this stuff. It's an important game. There's contracts. Brett Yormark said all that and then said, but everything's on the table. Like, there's a way we can do it without it. All right. I really hope there's a way. Actually, I know there's a way that they can do without the conference championship games. Like, they just have to work all that out and get to that point. That day's coming. But anytime a commissioner, when Tony Petitti's been the way he's been about it, future of the Big Ten championship game, even Jim Phillips in the ACC title game, obviously we just mentioned Greg Sankey. Anytime a commissioner comes out and says, oh, we got to look at the economics, and as we look at 24 and expanding there, what do we gain? What do we lose? But everything's on the table when it comes to that. That's refreshing. Now, I wanted to get to Joey McGuire, but we also need to take a break and do Tigers in the Pros. So I might push the Joey McGuire thing to 5:30 because it's a long answer that he gave on Brendan Sorsby and Texas Tech's reputation after all of that. And I want to play the full answer, so I got to make sure I have enough time in order to do that. So might push that into the second hour. We have some open space. In the third hour, we have some open space there. But that's kind of your first taste there. Brett Yormark didn't want to talk about Sorsby. Still wants 24 and is open to the possibility of conference championship games going away. That's massive news. He's one of the first commissioners to really go on record and say, yeah, everything's on the table. So we'll keep following that, obviously, here as we go along. We'll get to Joey McGuire about an hour or so from right now. We'll grab a break. We'll come back on the other side. Wrap up hour number 2 here of AFR with Tigers in the Pros. Stick around.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by the Watermark Hotel and the Renaissance Hotel, 2 beautiful hotel properties in Baton Rouge, the Watermark downtown, the Renaissance Southtown right there on Bluebonnet. And when it comes to hosting your event, both the Watermark and the Renaissance are perfect. The Watermark is a gorgeous, elegant spot in downtown Baton Rouge. That wedding reception, that smaller gathering, that meeting space, they can do it. They've kept so much of the history and tradition of that iconic building while modernizing it. The Gregory is a great restaurant inside of the Watermark as well. And then, of course, the Renaissance Hotel, Southtown, right there on Bluebonnet in Baton Rouge. It's more modern. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous hotel property at the Renaissance Hotel where they have meeting space that can accommodate up to 500 people, 7,000 square foot of meeting space, perfectly located right off of Bluebonnet and I-10. It's the Watermark and the Renaissance Hotels in Baton Rouge. SupperClubBTR.com. One of the things about Supper Club that I love is if you want to go to Supper Club and be a baller, you can do it. You want to go to Supper Club and order a $5,000 bottle of Chateau Lafite Rothschild? You can do it. You want to go have $400 shots of cognac? You can do it. You can have experiences at Supper Club that usually are reserved for Las Vegas and New York and Paris and Abu Dhabi. Like, that's here in Baton Rouge. But the thing you got to remember as well, if you want to go to Supper Club and have the best steak of your life and have a few appetizers, a dessert, bottle of wine, you can do it as affordably as any other restaurant in town. But the experience at Supper Club is unmatched. Introduced open seating at the bar, first come, first serve. So if you knock off of work, you want to head by Supper Club, you can walk in without a reservation, see if you can grab a bar stool or a table by the bar as well. Have a great dinner, maybe cocktail, close some business. Book your reservation, supperclubbtr.com, supperclubbtr.com.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Welcome back in after further review here on a Tuesday presented by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Musso in for Moscona. Putting a button here on hour number 2 of the show. Hard up for hour number 3 as well. We'll kind of reset the news of the day of Jaden Andy and whatnot. We got Otter still to get to here today as well for some Otter locks. I go back and tally up last night for Otter, see how our guy did there. So we got plenty more to get to here as we continue on here on this Tuesday. Scone. It's going to be back on Monday. Much needed vacay here for our guy. So he's out the rest of the week and he'll be back with us on Monday. Right now, we wrap up hour number 2 with Tigers and Pros.
Tigers in the pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now.
All right, Tigers in the pros. Gage Jump took a loss on Sunday against the Marlins after struggling through 3 innings, allowing 8 hits, 5 of which were earned, while walking 3 and punching out just 1.
Man, he had been on a roll, too.
Yeah.
Like, I think he had, like, back-to-back shutouts. Or, like, he was cruising through Major League Baseball. All right, he'll bounce back. That's a bummer.
Dylan Cruz and the Nationals squared off with the Pirates in a three-game series over the weekend. Cruz went 3 for 10 at the plate, launching 1 home run and just driving in 1 RBI and striking out just 3 times over the series. So bats on ball.
Bats on ball. Left the yard again. Saw the video of the home run over the weekend. Launch piece. It's good to see him finding success there with the Nationals. That first stint didn't go great. Obviously started the year in the minors, but much better here so far for Cruz.
Kevin Gausman took the loss on the road against San Francisco last night despite punching out 8 over 5 innings. Gave up 5 hits, 4 earned runs while walking 5.
5 walks. That's that's really out of the ordinary for him.
Yeah.
He is normally all over the strike zone. You'd be hard pressed probably to find another game this year where he walked 5. That's or even more than even 3 or more. That's surprising. Tough night for LSU pitchers. Luke, what else you got? Who shoved last night? We got an LSU pitcher that shoved over there. Did Aaron Nola pitch last night? Man.
No, but Aaron Nola did take a loss over the weekend. Despite a very good outing against Kansas City. Made it through 7 innings, allowing 7 hits, 3 earned runs, no walks, and striking out 7.
All right. It really was the Phillies' fault. It wasn't Aaron Nola's fault. It was his teammates' fault. Had a rough go of it for the LSU starting pitchers in the bigs. I mean, Jump took a loss.
Yep.
Gausman took a loss. Skeens took a loss.
Yep.
Nola took a loss. All in their last starts. Big bounce back week here coming for LSU. But you know what we need to do? We need to get Cade Anderson up to the big leagues.
Yeah.
And just let him start carrying the mantle here.
Yeah.
That's what we need to do.
I mean, stats are showing our boys are doing their part.
They are.
So,
Need the offenses to follow suit, man. Can't just Got to score runs to win the game. You got to score runs to win the game. That it? That's all. Tigers and Pros.
that's all.
All right, that's Tigers and the Pros. That further review here on a Tuesday. Musso in for Moscona. Take a break here shortly. Get you caught up on national headlines with SportsCenter. I think I want to dive back in to Jaden Anding. We had Shay Dixon on the show earlier today, as we do every Tuesday. Shay was with us there in the 3 o'clock hour. If you missed that interview, obviously you can catch it on demand. AFR On Demand presented by Brett Golf, YouTube, wherever you get your podcast app. AFR LSU, after further review, all those things. It should bring it up. Great conversation with Shay about Anding, the decision being delayed, ultimately LSU getting that across the finish line, him joining the class. We also talked with Shay about the new, I don't really know if I want to call it a proposal, but I suppose it is. The NCAA Division I Board of Directors proposed framework for a legal tampering period ahead of the transfer portal window. So we talked about that with Shay as well. Obviously, as somebody who covers recruiting every day over there at On 3, Shay's a great resource for that and how that might change, if at all, the landscape of recruiting. So we talked about that with Shay as well. But and I gave some thoughts on that in the first hour too. But when we come back, I do want to kind of dive a little bit more into not Aiden, excuse me. That's going to happen a lot. We are all going to do that an awful lot. Jaden Anding, dive back into his commitment, what it means for LSU going forward in the future. We got some college football playoff projections to go through as well as LSU in them. And it's talking season. This is when you get all your way too early projections and things out there. So we'll do that here coming up in hour 3 as well. And again, Jimmy for Otterlock. So stick with us. 2 hours in the books, 1 more hour to go here on AFR. It's a Tuesday show, so you know what that means. Presented by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. It is Musso in for Moscona here on this Tuesday. We'll grab the break. We'll come back. Sports Center, and then LSU, Jaden Anding to kick off hour number 3 of AFR.